Hello class, welcome to review for test number 2, which is a continuation of unit number 1. Test number 2 will use the same review sheet that was given for test number 1. See here that the major ideas for test number 2 are written. In addition to these ideas, we are going to add calculating percent error and distinguishing between the three states of matter. So let's look at the first key idea, which is converting between metric units. Let's see how that is done. Okay, so what we're going to do is first examine the metric system and how we convert amongst units in the metric system. The metric system, we can see, is based on the power of 10. We see this from reference table C that they give us these factors of 10. Now, most metric units include the factor of 10 plus the base unit. So what's a base unit? In order to find a base unit, we're going to use reference table D, and it gives the base units that we're going to use here in our chemistry course. So for instance, if we see a symbol that starts with a K, that means that we're starting at the power of 10 that represents the kilo. But if it is preceded by an M, then that means that we're looking at the metric unit for meter. So a kilo, 10 to the power 3 meter, is a unit of length. Okay, if we just saw an M with no other symbol, then we would know that we simply have a meter. So any base unit, which will be represented by 10 to the power 0, which is equal to 1, any base unit is actually going to only have one capital letter. There are a few exceptions to this rule, though they won't be seen much yet in our course of chemistry. So the exceptions are the abbreviation for mole, minute, and Pascal. So when we're doing metric conversion, I like to use this mnemonic device pictured below. In class, the limits of it were seen because we used this mnemonic device which only included up to the milligram, the milli unit, or 10 to the negative 3, and it didn't include the micro, nano, and pico, which are seen here on reference table C, so you will be accountable for those. I will go and adapt this mnemonic device to accommodate those units, but I'll also show you a mathematical way to derive units if you're not comfortable with this mnemonic device. So the mnemonic device requires that you write these symbols and essentially a line on your paper to represent the various powers of 10. The mnemonic device reads, King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk with 1, 2, 3 monks, 1, 2, 3 nuns, and 1, 2, 3 priests. One more time, the mnemonic device reads, King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk with 1, 2, 3 monks, 1, 2, 3 nuns, and 1, 2, 3 priests. Now, we can use this mnemonic device to complete any metric conversion. Let's look at our first example where we're asked to convert 5.2 centimeters to millimeters. So what we would do is we'd find centi on our chart, and we know that we're going to milli. So we see that that is one move, one jump towards the right. So we'll move our decimal place 1 point towards the right. So this will become 52. Okay. Now there's another mathematical way to accomplish this, so let me show you. Mathematically, what we would use is we use reference table C, and we're beginning with the centimeter unit, and we want to go to the millimeter unit. So mathematically what we would do is we would take the number we were given, which is 5.2, and multiply it times centimeter unit over millimeter unit. So that would be 5.2 times 10 to the negative 2 divided by 10 to the negative 3. When doing this math, this becomes 5.2 times 10, which is exactly equal to 52. So either technique works. Okay, let's try this conversion one more time. This time we're asked to convert from milligrams to grams. So we need to find milli. Milli is milk on this. So this is milli, and we want to go to grams. Remember, grams is the unit because it only has one letter abbreviation. So we want to go to grams. In order to do that, we'll have to move 1, 2, 3 spaces into the left. So we'll move our decimal place 3 spaces to the left, or have it be 0.150. Now, in order to use mathematics to do this conversion, what we're going to do is we're going to find milli, which is 10 to the third, and we're going to find the unit. Notice the unit isn't here, but the unit is always 10 to the 0, which is the same thing as 1. So we're going to take our given number, 150, times our given unit is always on top, milligrams, to our desired unit on the bottom. So that's 150 times 10 to the negative 3 over 1. So 150 times 10 to the negative 3 is 0.150. In chemistry, it's best if we put the leading 0 in front of any decimal number. So 0.150 would be the best way to report this answer. Let's just quickly do one more example of how to use our mnemonic device using some of the new units, micro, nano, or pico. In the first example, we're going to start with the milli unit, and we want to convert into the micro unit. So we can see that on my chart, again, King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk with 1, 2, 3 monks, 1, 2, 3 nuns, and 1, 2, 3 priests. So when we see how many lines this represents, that's going to be 3 spaces to my right. So I need to move my decimal place 3 spaces to the right. So the answer becomes 1, 2, 3 spaces to the right, drop your decimal point. So it's 50,000. Now, in the case of pico to nano, what we're going to do, again, is we can go and count how many spaces. So pico to nano is 3 spaces to the left. So I'm going to move my decimal place 3 spaces to the left. So I'm going to start with my number that I was given, and then I'm going to move my decimal place 1, 2, 3 spaces to the left, drop the decimal, and it's good measure to have the leading 0, just so we know that this is a true decimal number. We're finally ready to approach our first question in this review, which is question number 16. It asks, which quantity of heat is equal to 200 joules? So joules, as we can see from reference table D, so joules is a base unit. Remember that all base units are equal 10 to the power 0, which is the same thing as 1. And we want to convert to kilojoules. So the easiest way to do this is, again, to use our mnemonic device. King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk with 1, 2, 3 monks, 1, 2, 3 nuns, and 1, 2, 3 priests. So here we're going to go from our base unit, which is indicated with joules. So we want to go to base unit and we want to convert it to kilo. So that means that we have to count the number of spaces between the base unit and the kilo unit. So that would be 3 spaces to the left. So essentially I'm going to move my decimal point 3 spaces to the left, creating 0.2 kilojoules, which is represented here.